the Aputure 300D Mark II. It was completely redesigned from the ground up for one purpose. To kick ass.
When the original 300D came out, I bought one as fast as I could. A cool, efficient, powerful, and dimmable daylight single-point LED was everything I had wanted for quite a while. I wanted those sharper edges on my shadows. I wanted more control over the light. The original 300D did not disappoint. It went everywhere with me. I even took it on my 5-week nature filming adventure last year. It was one of the most useful pieces of kit I had purchased in a long time. But it did have a few drawbacks, like the dual power boxes to make it operable on AC power, the noise from the fan on the AC power supply, the dimming in what felt like large steps, and the attention I had to pay to the angle of the lamp head just to make sure it didn't thermal shut down to protect itself. Well, Aputure listened to the community and its users and built this one, the Aputure 300D Mark II. Now, let's go through some of the many changes and additions they've made on the Mark II and see just how many boxes they've checked. First, they combined the two power boxes into one, getting rid of that somewhat noisy AC power supply. Then, they built a single control power supply with no fans. Get rid of the noise, check. But to control this light even further, they gave it a new interface. Now there's even more control of the light, right at your fingertips. With a menu and a scroll wheel, you can now change the fan mode in the lamp head from force to auto, giving you just a little more control over the cooling. Fan control, check. They added studio mode, which will cause the light to automatically come on as soon as it's plugged in. Next, they decided to tackle the dimming. They went from a stepping design to one of 4 selectable curves: linear, log, exponential, and even S-curve. Now you can dial in the brightness exactly the way you want. Dimming control? Check. While they were fixing the dimming, they decided they would improve the remote operations of the light. While the original 300D came with a little remote control, and the Mark II does too as well, the Mark II now has DMX 512 control, giving you centralized control options. But wait, they didn't stop there. They said, you know what? Let's take this to the next level. First, they added Bluetooth. Then they had the antenna inside. Nice little change. Then they developed an app using the new Bluetooth Mesh Network Protocol. Now, this can control multiple 300D Mark IIs in a wireless daisy chain up to 1,300 feet away. They're putting this tech in all of their new lights as well, making this the simplest to use and most capable control for all your new mesh-capable Aputure lights. And there are quite a few lights coming out that will really benefit from this control. Remote capability, check. I guess then the design team sat around the table and said, but what else can we do? Oh, I know. We could add in some lighting effects like fireworks, faulty bulb, lightning. TV.
Why didn't you warn me my pants were split? I've been walking around all day. You never warned me about anything.
I'm watching TV. Paparazzi. Strobe. Explosion.
I'm gonna make toast. Want an
The
egg?
toaster has a gas leak.
That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
Warned you. And even pulsing. Smoke alarm's going off. Each of these can be tweaked to the brightness and frequency. Some of these effects can be triggered from the front panel, app, or the remote control. Next level effects, check. And what about software upgrades? Well, they added in a USB port. You can also upgrade from their app as well. Future abilities, check. Now on the power module itself, they decided to make it as compact as possible by mounting the dual batteries on either side. Now just like on the previous model, this one can be powered by two V-mount or gold mount batteries, but taking it a step further, you can power this one with just one battery. And at 50% output, it gives it the output of a 120D Mark II. Remote power, check. They even tackled the mounting struggles from the previous model, giving this one a new quick clamp that you can attach to a C-stand and mount and remove quickly. Still want to hang it? Yeah, they put a strap on it too. This strap is much nicer than the previous one. If you want to just lay it on the table, you can do that too. With its built-in feet, it's easy. Mounting options? Check. Now, I know many of you are thinking, but Scott, what about the lamp head? Well, what about the lamp head? Let's talk about that next. Now, the previous lamp head was fairly nice. With its compact design, they kept the same great Bowens S-type mount on the front here, but then they decided to make the head just a little stronger and a little more flexible, and add a splash of color just for good measure. They redesigned the yoke so that it can be mounted in any position. They put in a better handbrake as well to lock it more securely. Mounting flexibility, check. And while they were in there, they thought, now what else can we do? Oh, I know, let's pump up the volume. Let's give it more output. And so, they did. They boosted the light output by about 20%. In my measurements, it's about 24, but who's counting? While they were boosting the output of the LED module itself, they then focused their attention on the reflector. They narrowed its output beam by about 5 degrees and then changed the coating to a more polished finish, and it boosted the light output by a factor of 2. Together, the two refinements equal about 3 times the output, 6,000 lux versus 1,800 on my meter at 2 meters. Light output, check. They took a look at the previous generation cables and said, I think we can make this a little better. And they did. They went with a near 20-foot power cable with a Nutrix style connector for a positive lock and a quick connection. From the control to the lamp, they use a 5-pin XLR. No more confusion as to which cable goes where. Cable refinement, check. They weren't done making improvements. They must have said, well, maybe we can improve the case it comes in. And they did. They redesigned the case, making it more rugged. It can handle being tossed around and having gear stacked on it, as well as it looks great for a night on the town. In a previous video, I measured several different lights at various distances to see just how bright this 300D Mark II really is. I measured each light at 1 meter, 2 meters, 3 meters, and 5 meters. Now the light it closely matched was the 1.2K HMI Fresnel. The HMI was only about 12% brighter, but this is significant. This 300D Mark II is 3 times brighter than a 1K tungsten Fresnel and nearly as bright as a 1.2K HMI. This is serious light output. They redesigned this light for one simple purpose, and that was to kick ass. Ass kicking? Check. So all in all, after using this light for a few weeks on a couple of jobs and some setups around here, I can confidently say that they have done some major improvements. There are a few gripes I have about the new design, and although they may be minor in the overall feeling of this light, they are something. When the power module is mounted on the stand, the power plug is on the bottom next to the two DMX. And you end up fiddling with it trying to figure out which one to plug it into, and then twisting and turning until the cable you get it just right. This is a pain, but ultimately a tiny little complaint. And I found it best to detach the unit and plug the cable directly in and then reattach. Now, I'm sure over time I can get a little bit faster at it, but you understand. The next is the built-in effects. I'd like some additional amount of control over them, perhaps programming in my own patterns. I found that some of them, like the faulty bulb, repeated itself fairly quickly. This being software, I would imagine it can be fixed or even customized in the future. Time will tell. Then there's the length of the lamp head cable. I find it to be about 4 feet shorter than I need at times. When I had this light up on a Menace arm, I had to mount the power box way too high for what I'm comfortable with. And I would imagine a longer cable could be used. I'll just have to find out. The last is the overall durability. I'm wondering how it would fare on a grip truck being used daily. Now, I've had it for a short while and I've been using it daily, and the only real way to know for sure is to just keep using it daily. I'm about 90% certain that it'll survive on a grip truck with daily use, but I'm not 100% sure, at least not yet. My plan is to have 4 of these in my grip kit, and I feel pretty confident about getting that last 10%, but again, only time will tell. Now, again, these gripes are pretty small, but I did want to mention my observations. They may not matter to many, but they might come up at some point. Better to give an honest overall review. And after all, that's how I review. 100% honesty, and you can count on it. Now, this light was loaned to me to try out, and I was in no way compensated for my video, opinions, or anything. They simply wanted me to put it to use and let them know what I thought. And this is what I thought. This is a serious, solid, high output light that they should feel proud of designing. As always, if you have any questions or comments, do feel free to put those in the comment section down below. I do try to read and respond to each and every one, even if it's just to say thank you. Also, I do have a Patreon if you wish to support me that way, or a PayPal. You can just drop me a tip that way. It's always appreciated. Remember to subscribe. I want you to be a part of this community. Also, give me a thumbs up if you like this video. If you didn't like this video, go ahead and give me a thumbs down. We can still be friends. And as always, as I like to leave it, don't let your passions center around your life. Let your life center around your passions.